what is the game worth winning? That's the question I want you to have in mind as you go through this. Like, how do you create that life that you love, that you can embrace, that you could say, hey, this is what I'm going to be intentional about? Because I think it's really easy to get in a trap of working hard, doing too much, having task lists, being busy all the time. And if we don't create the space for the things that we enjoy the most, then they are the ones that most easily get crowded out. I like to have a ton of free time already built in the calendar, trips that are already on the books, and start to enjoy that along the way. Where could you do that? And what are the most important lessons that you've learned in your life that you'd like to pass on? And I love a lot of Rich's philosophy of, going to a third world country for 30 days because now they're truly going to listen versus me trying to lecture them on the way to school. So how do you create the right environments and conditions for that bonding? Because I look at all of whatever I've done within Wealth Factory, all of what I've done in business, I feel like if I don't take care of this within my family, then I kind of get second prize. Like, there's so many people out there doing amazing things for the world, but not for themselves and not for their family. And in the end, what was the legacy about? Yes, there is the legacy of the impact on the world, but there's also the legacy of the impact on the family. And I think sometimes it's harder to make the impact on the family than it is the world. Like, every now and again, I'll just do more for a customer or a client or a member than I would do for my own family. Like the other day, I do weekly meetings with my wife, and we're in the meeting, and I had gotten something or done something, but it was downstairs, and I was tired, so I was like, no, I'll just get that for her later, which I know means I won't go get it, we'll forget about it for a week, and it won't be as relevant. And then I just said, well, if this was a client, what would I do? So I got my lazy ass up, and I went downstairs, and I got it. So, it's just, I think we're kind of programmed this way sometimes. So again, I commend you for taking the time to invest in this, to think through this, because success leaves clues. Those clues come from the intentional, deliberate actions that we take, and this is what I call doing the right hard work. See, there's doing hard work that's leading us enthusiastically in the wrong direction, and that's a Peter Drucker quote. There's also the hard work that doesn't create enough of the result. There's the hard work that we think is the checklist that everyone tells us that we need to get through, and we get there and we don't feel quite as fulfilled. And then there's doing the right hard work that creates the life that we absolutely enjoy and sets us up through something I would call doing the hard easy versus the easy hard. Easy hard is just, sometimes it's easier to sleep in rather than get up and do a morning ritual, work out, take care of ourselves, and then the rest of the day is a little bit harder, right? It's easier not to eat nutritious food because it's easy to get processed food anywhere you go, whether it's working out, whether that's meditating, whether that's reaching out to loved ones. This is all easy not to do these things. It's easy to watch a TV series. It's hard to do the things up front and say, look, I'm going to do things right now like this because it's going to set up an easier path for me and my family in the future. But I have to shuffle, make it a priority, and do that hard work up front. So easy hard is like having hypertension. That high blood pressure eventually is going to get you, even if you don't notice it, right? But it's sometimes harder to say, oh, I'm going to be more relaxed, I'm going to forgive, I'm going to do all these things that I have lower blood pressure by taking care of my health, and life gets easier because of those hard things we do up front. So easy hard is a very temporary situation that becomes exceedingly difficult. Hard easy, it's temporarily difficult, and it becomes much more easy and in flow as time goes on. So hard easy versus easy hard, you guys are the type of people that are doing the hard easy. So all that in mind, the value equation will be essential as we look at this because we're building mental capital around legacy. The relationship capital we're investing in is our own family, our own heirs. And thinking about that as an investment in experience, in time, in actual dollars, rather than thinking about an investment being something outside of ourselves, like a stock, a bond, a piece of real estate, or even a business, and taking the core values and tenets of a business and applying that back into the family, back into being a coach for that family because Rich said, hey, I can coach you a lot better in business than even in sports. And to me, one of the best things that happened is I blew out my knee. I blew out my knee before my senior year. I was at a basketball camp. I was playing probably at the peak I'd ever played in basketball in my life, so we were running a lot of ISO plays for the team where I was actually having the whole team go to the bottom of the key, and I would dribble shoot, like very ball hoggish, but I felt really good about it for a while until I planted, someone bumped me, and I blew out my knee. which meant my senior year no longer had sports involved in it. Which the real career I would have had would be play for a small college that was insignificant in the world of sports, get distracted by baseball with nobody even in the crowd, and then having no future in that. And it would have been a waste of time ultimately, but at the time, it was part of my identity, so I got a little bit depressed. So what I had to do instead, I had that little Garrett Gunderson's car care business. I had to actually hire employees and delegate because I had an ACL that was blown out, and it was all, it was no fun to hop around and wash a car, so I hired employees. And the number one reason I hired them is because they're relationship capital. I hired this guy, last name Atwood. His dad was a dentist that was one of the more popular dentists in town. They knew everyone. And so when I brought him on board, he was just bringing in cars from his dad's friends, and I'd give him a bonus for it. He would clean those cars. Well, I sat down and probably watched TV more than I should, but I wasn't moving around very well with my knee being blown out. And then my senior year, I was the only one that took state at our high school. And it was in business. I won the governor's entrepreneur contest. Probably wouldn't have done that if I was playing baseball, right? So sometimes we have those blessings in disguise, but business was infinitely more valuable for me than sports. Sports had its learning how to play as a teammate, but I wasn't going anywhere with it, where business is something I've been able to carry into the future. And I love the thought of, like, when we walked away from this, we went and bought a website called yourfieldofbattle.com. And so this summer, because we aren't going to Europe, we're going to go to the cabin, we're going to launch this business, me, the kids, and my wife, where we show up to parties and we bring these little obstacle courses and Nerf guns. My kids referee if someone was out or not, and then they pay us to be there. And so we do that because we love guys' night, and that's our number one thing that we do. It's called Dart Side. We'd go there, do the obstacle courses, shoot at each other, and it's about the only time I get my two sons to play together in a nice way if I put them on the same team because they're trying to win. So we're like, this would be really cool. And then they're excited about it. And I could teach them about, hey, do you want me to be a partner, or do you just want me to be an employee? Do you want to get all the equipment? Are you going to earn the money, or are you going to go and present this to other friends that I've brought to Dart Side and borrow it from them and have to pay them an interest rate or give up equity? Like, I can teach them so many cool things this summer by doing that. And that came from going through the Legacy event. So just setting a little bit of the stage before I bring Rich up and he takes you through the zigzag principle and how this applies to your family, your life, and business. Rich Christensen.